All right, what is up? We are live. Just got back from Martinsville, so I'm not up to date on everything because I was watching it live. But a lot of stuff broke out. But I guess before we get to that and cover all the other stuff, because I took a little bit of a break here this week, so other stuff to cover as well that I haven't covered yet. But this will be the hottest topic, I'm sure. Ryan Blaney wins the race, locks himself in. Mr. Clutch does it back to back years, winning Martinsville and locking himself in. So you got two Penske guys going to the finale in Phoenix. And, well, the other two raising, well, at least the last one getting in there, going to raise a few eyebrows, but we'll get to that here in just a minute. Chase Elliott finishes second. Good run for him. He had a good car all day, just didn't have quite enough to hold Blaney back there at the end. Kyle Larson ends up in third. Same story with him, but he finishes, of course, one spot below Chase Elliott. Austin Cindric, good run for him. Another Penske car there. They seem to have a long run car on the day, so they needed the longer runs for those tires to come in and sort of benefit them. But good finish for Cindric there. Denny Hamlin, he raced a wrecked race car. He gave it a valiant effort, but he will miss the Final Four again this year. Or did he make it last year? I can't remember. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. Anyway, valiant effort, though, today, trying to make it, but he does miss out. William Byron finishing in sixth place. And that is going to be where some of your controversy comes from here, because Austin Dillon had a great car today, and Austin Dillon probably could have finished in the top five here. But him and Ross Chastain decided to ride behind William Byron to allegedly, I guess, keep a Chevrolet driver in the playoffs there. So I don't know if they've got team communication from it or something like that. I heard some people talking about that as I was walking to the parking lot. So seems like there was some race manipulation there, possibly, and there's more to come. Don't worry. Brad Keselowski, who led a good chunk of the back half of this race, ends up with a ninth place finish. Joey Logano pretty consistently around the top 10 all day. Noah Gragson had a rocket ship, didn't have track position to begin the race, but that car was really fast watching it live, and he was wheeling it. Shout out to Shane Van Gisbergen. Great run for him. This is a very technical track, and for him to pick up this track, basically coming from supercars, is pretty amazing. Alex Bowman, Ryan Preece, Chase Briscoe rounding out your top 15. And then as you go sort of toward the back here, where did he end up finishing? Where did Bell finish? Christopher Bell, 22nd. He ends up finishing 22nd after some contact with Bubba Wallace, and he got up there and he ripped the wall Ross Chastain style, and he was disqualified for that. And because of that, if you go to the standings, let's see if they've updated them here just yet, or if this is still controversial. Nope, they have updated it. And because of that, he ended up tied at the end of this race with William Byron. And I guess they gave the tiebreaker to William Byron because they threw out, I guess, or they're going to throw out his finishing position. And I'm sure that will be appealed immediately by JGR, because just all kinds of stuff going on there where you can probably appeal that, and whether it goes through or not, I don't know. But for right now, William Byron is in, and this is going to be the poll question. Tyler Reddick in as well, Joey Logano, and Ryan Blaney. That is, as it stands right now, your final four. But there was two sort of incidents there at the end where Chevrolet sort of would refuse to pass the 24 car, and you had people stacking up there. You can point to that as race manipulation. And then clear black and white rule after the Ross Chastain incident. NASCAR said, we're not going to see any more of that ever again. And, well, I mean, it's a black and white rule there. Christopher Bell ripped the wall, and so he is going to be DQ'd. But the question amongst a lot of people as I was walking out seemed to be, should they DQ the 24 car? Because basically they're saying that that's race manipulation too. And if that happens, and this, of course, is the poll question, who should get that final playoff spot? Should it go to Bell? Should it go to William Byron? Or should it go to neither, DQ both, and just have three in the final four? Or DQ both and give it to the next man in line? Right now, that is leading at 38%, 28% for DQ both, and just have three in the playoffs, and 17% apiece for Byron and Bell there. 6 minutes into that poll. All right, PC gone rogue. You're buffering bad. Sorry about that. I can't do anything about that. Neither Hamlin nor Larson making the final four was the biggest disappointment for me, says Cameron Moss. Yeah, that's probably going to be a a little bit of an issue there for a lot of people. A lot of people's favorite driver not being in there, and that's also, of course, going to play in to part of that. If you're a Bell fan, you think Bell should be in there. If you're a William Byron fan, you think William Byron should be in there. So all that's going to play into that as well. But for sure, and probably playing into the DQ both of them, and it would go to either probably Hamlin or Larson. Not exactly sure. It didn't show it here on this deal. Let's see. Do they have it over here with the driver points? Next one in line would be Kyle Larson, followed by Chase Elliott. So according to the driver points I'm looking at NASCAR.com right now at 10:06 East Coast time for the regular driver points. So I guess it would go to one of those two. Let's see where the officiating is made up and the points don't matter. So yeah, in the as I was pulling up, I heard I was sort of scrolling it, and a lot of people are saying this is the death of the playoffs. This might be the end of the playoffs as we know it, because a lot of people are super upset about this. The playoffs have been getting bashed all year, and you just see this. You see a bit of a sentiment here that this might be the end of the playoffs. They had a good run, but people are absolutely fed up. Which is interesting enough, because at the tweet up, I went to the tweet up with who was there. Jeff Gluck, super nice guy. First time I've ever seen Jeff Gluck in person. Super cool guy. Bob Pockris was there, and Bob Pockris was basically like the playoffs as we have it now are going to stand, because somebody basically asked the question, and Bob was like Johnny on the spot. Like, they're never going to change. It's going to be the way it is. So we'll see. We'll see, because after today, once again, the fans, not that that matters what the fans think, because NASCAR doesn't care. They care about what the TV partners think. But you could definitely see a situation where you at least maybe get some tweaks and some adjustments to the playoffs here, at least how you qualify for them. So this could be the death knell, as they say, for the playoffs. NASCAR, where officiating is made up and the points don't matter. What's up, Rosie? Good to see you in here. Howdy, BB. Did you have an overrated hot dog? I did have an overrated hot dog, so I tweeted that out as well. I don't know how I did, because even with the Wi-Fi at Martinsville, the service is not superb. So I did have I think I had 6 throughout the course of the day. So overall, I had 6 over the course of 12 or 13 hours. Pretty good. Did not affect me like it affected some other people, but I'll save that for the regular episode that I'm gonna make. How do you let's see, what's up, Lloyd Barnes? Between Bowman getting DQ'd a couple weeks ago and today's nonsense, NASCAR is running a carnival. It does sort of feel like a soap opera. That's the only real word I can think about. It just seems like so unnecessarily over dramatic for what's actually going on. Which it should be a sport, right? It should be performance based. But because of the way the playoffs are structured, it feels like an actual soap opera or a professional wrestling or Monster Jam, where it's predetermined who's going to win and all that stuff. It's just I don't know. And I'm not saying NASCAR is predetermined. I'm just saying it feels like orchestrated for drama, I guess is sort of the point I'm making. It's not necessarily orchestrated for who will actually win, but they've definitely engineered this for maximum drama and not to necessarily reward the driver that's had the most outstanding season. So this is going to be another strike against the playoffs, and a very contentious year for NASCAR, who's under a lawsuit right now from 2311 as well. Walter Flair saying guarantee by Tuesday Kyle Larson will be the 4th finalist. We'll see. We'll see. I do not think this thing is over. Like I said, I don't know exactly what information they have, but as I was walking out, I did hear some people talk about they had some radio communications from somebody that you heard them colluding to not pass William Byron. So we'll see what happened there with that. Allegedly, I guess I should say, because I haven't heard it yet. Let's see. William Byron holds the tiebreaker in that tie anyway, says Lloyd Barnes. So there you go. Even if Bell overturns the penalty, William Byron would hold the tiebreaker, because I guess he has more wins or whatever it goes to, if they have equal wins. But I'm pretty sure he has more wins than Bell. DQ both and let Denny in, maybe, says Lloyd Barnes. Yeah, I don't think NASCAR is going to bend over backwards to help Denny. So you would have to DQ. Let's see where Denny sits here, according to the NASCAR deal. Okay, so you would have to DQ William Byron, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman. You would have to DQ everybody. Everybody gets, you get a DQ. He gets a DQ. We all get a DQ. Dairy Queen. And then you would get to Denny Hamlin, who currently sits ninth in points as it stands right now. So, which I don't know how Bowman jumped him here. I guess because he fell out of the playoffs. That's how Bowman jumped him. Yeah, they haven't, the full regular season or the full driver standings are a little bit before here. So I don't know. Now you'd have to DQ everybody for Hamlin. Everybody would have to get DQ'd. Larson and the rest of them there. Let's see. Voted DQ both because if you move up the 5, you're not really penalizing the OEMs that put out the orders. Yeah, and so good point. Thank you, Provocate. Thank you, Provocate, for that. That's actually why I put that in there. So if, and I haven't heard the radio communication yet because I was there, and I need to stop repeating that. You guys know I've said it 10 times now. But if they have radio communication of a team colluding to keep William Byron in front, then that would definitely, that would DQ them. And then because it's a Chevrolet team, you can't promote the Chevrolet team, and Toyota. I guess in that situation, that would be the way to DQ all the Chevy teams, I guess, and get Dennis Hamlin in there. But the other option is just DQ both and have just 3 for your final 4. So that is why I put that option up there as well. 48 votes in right now, and 38% DQ both and put the next man in line. 23% DQ both and just have 3 in the final 4. 23% for William Byron, and 17% there for Christopher Bell as it stands right now. Let's see. Yeah, the playoffs will not be the same without Larson, says Rosie. Yeah, so if your favorite driver was in it and he's not in the playoffs right now, you're probably angling and working every scenario in here. DQ everybody to get my driver in because it just stinks when your driver's out of the playoffs. That's just the way it is, for sure. So I understand where you're coming from with that one. Let's see. I think you should. I just read Provocate there. Dwayne Lawson. I think you should have DQ both of them and give it to Kyle Larson. So that's another vote for DQ both and give it to Larson. I didn't get to watch the race, but what did 24 do wrong? The 24, good question, Eric Crest. And this is where it gets to be sort of a sticky situation. The 24 didn't necessarily do anything wrong because the 2 cars behind him, I think it was Austin Dillon and was the other one Ross Chastain. So neither one of them are Hendrick cars. So it wouldn't be like Hendrick collusion. So technically, William Byron didn't do anything wrong. But I guess Chevrolet, I guess the argument being made is that Chevrolet somehow colluded. They have, I guess, some evidence of that is what I was hearing as I was walking out. So we'll see how it plays out. It's going to be a super interesting week with everything going on for sure. My favorite driver is in. Congratulations to Blaney. Impressive drive, says Diane H. That's a good point. So instead of us talking about Ryan Blaney winning and being clutch when the lights shine the brightest, when the biggest stars need to show up to outshine the lights in the room, Ryan Blaney showed up again for the second year in a row and did the deal. And we're not talking about Ryan Blaney showing up and winning a race and being just amazing and doing what he had to do here. We're talking about playoffs. We're talking about the playoffs. I'm not going to do the playoffs thing. That's tired and done. Jim Mora, I think, was the guy that did that. But yeah. So instead of talking about something positive once again, which would have been like Blaney going out here and winning this race and being clutch, we're talking about playoff drama and not good playoff drama. We're talking about penalties and all kinds of nonsense. So yeah, not a good situation. What's up, Chrome Diesel? Hope you're doing good, my friend. I'm pretty upset that NASCAR at NASCAR as a whole, says Chrome Diesel. I think that's probably where a lot of people are at. Like, they don't really care which way this bounces one way or the other. They're just like, this once again just shows that this system sucks. Can we get at least revised playoff system, a playoff system where things like this can't happen? Like, you have this overly complicated playoff system and you can't foresee every particular situation where somebody could disrupt this playoff system. But I feel like this playoff system is meant to be disruptive to create moments like this. So I don't know. I feel like the fans just don't like it. But NASCAR does. And it's just sort of two things button heads there. And it's not a good situation for sure. But yeah, I think a lot of people are disappointed with NASCAR because I think a lot of people this season have really come to the conclusion that even the people that like the playoffs have really come to the conclusion that, well, now that I see all this can happen in the playoffs, I don't like this version of the play. They might still want a playoff system. They don't like necessarily this version of the playoffs. I think that's a fair statement to make. Cody Ledger, yet again, everyone can complain and say this, that, or that, but that's what NASCAR wants. Exactly what I was talking about. NASCAR wants to create these moments. For sure. I don't disagree with you at all. They don't care if the publicity is good or bad. I do agree with you on that 100% as well. They like controversy. They like drama. And it's kind of, I've said this in the past, they've skewed so far toward entertainment that it's almost like I was talking about at the beginning of this. It's almost like a soap opera more than an actual sport that rewards merit. Yet again, controversy. People are talking about NASCAR tonight. Yeah, 100%. And it's unfortunate because Ryan Blaney did something amazing, but we're talking about sort of the drama, the side story, which it should be a side story, but the side story has become the main story, and the real big story here of Ryan Blaney showing up and doing what he needed to do in the biggest moments, in the most clutch moment, and doing it in the most clutch way possible. We're talking about just nonsense, really. Like race manipulation and ripping the wall, even though we knew it was illegal. We're talking about that instead of Blaney being clutch, and it's crazy, but that's kind of you're right. It's what NASCAR wants. They just want people talking about NASCAR, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. It's Logano and three useful idiots to color his third championship, says E. Damon Racing. There you go. That's E. Damon. He's making an early pick for Logano there. What's up in between the lanes? Good to see you here, my friend. It's based too much on BS outside of just racing, says James Williamson. I think a lot of people agree with you. I think this year, especially, a lot of people agree with that 100%. That's a cool hat, BB. Yeah, appreciate it. This is probably my favorite RCR hat that I own, if not my favorite hat that I own. It's either this or one of my Richard Petty hats, or one of my Dale Senior hats. Definitely one of my favorite hats for sure. Let's see. Lloyd Barnes saying NASCAR has really never listened to fans. Agreed. Current example, one, most fans would not like stage point racing. Let them race till the tires wear off and naturally fall off instead of mandatory cautions. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I don't think fans even care about the stages. They just don't like the stage caution. The stage caution is what messes it up. We've had things where people race for points or at least extra money in the middle of the race, like leading it halfway, you got some extra money or something like that. Leading the most laps, you got extra money or extra points for that. Didn't like any of what happened at the end, the blocking and picking Byron to be in, says Diane. Yeah, that's a fair statement. At some point you gotta clearly, and this is where NASCAR with their vague rules where it's up a lot of NASCAR's discretion, because we don't have a rule book in front of us that we as fans or anybody else can look at with that. I mean, I don't know of a way to properly get a NASCAR rule book or Cup Series rule book and look at it. So we're in the dark there. And most likely, in my opinion, the rule is probably going to be something like up to NASCAR's discretion, because I doubt that they've clearly defined what race manipulation is. So it's going to be race manipulation. They might have a sentence or two about it, and then they'll be up to NASCAR's discretion. So it'll be up to NASCAR's discretion whether or not, this was race. If they have, evidence. Like I said, I just heard people talking about it as I was walking out. If they have evidence of race manipulation, it'll be up to NASCAR. But they did use radio communications for what, the Michael Waltrip racing deal. So we'll see. We'll have to see how it turns out. Like I said, I'll have to go back and see if I can find the evidence that they were talking about. Never looked at it like that, but I have to agree with the soap opera theme. Yeah, they've skewed it more toward entertainment than meritocracy or sport. Blaney back to back grandfather clocks with the discount tire scheme. Indeed. It was super weird because I'm so used to him having the advance colors there. So when I looked at the discount tire car, it looked so strange for that car to be at Martinsville, because I'm so used to it being the black and gold advance car in recent years, at least. Suspension for drivers, crew chiefs involved. Radio traffic is race manipulation. Large fines for the teams as well, says Gojo. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, because that's what they did. That would be the consistent thing to do, because that's what they did to Michael Waltrip Racing, right? So that would probably be the deal. If they, like I said, I'll have to hear what was said But I'm just saying if they have that evidence. Gwen Thompson saying 1 and 3 for 24 driving side by side. No one could get to the 24 then. 23 allowed the 20 to pass, claiming he had a problem, slowed down for the 20 to pass. Yeah, that was pretty obvious. I didn't need a headset for that. Because once I saw Bubba Wallace slow down, I was like, oh, he cut a tire down or something like that. And then as he sort of sped back up, I was like, oh, I mean, it was super clear. It was pretty clear what happened there with that deal. So yeah, but do they have can they prove it? I mean, even though it's like pretty obvious what happened, do they have radio communications to prove it? Because I don't know. It just depends on what NASCAR wants to call there. So and in that particular case, I don't think it really will matter because Christopher Bell ripped the wall anyway, so he's going to lose all of his points for ripping the wall, Ross Chastain style, which NASCAR did say is illegal. That's the only one I can confidently say. I don't feel like Christopher Bell is going to get his overturned because it's pretty clear. That's a pretty clear rule there. That's written down. So I think that's the only one I can say for sure. Bell is probably going to lose those points. Now, William Byron, I don't know what the situation is going to be with that because it's a little trickier because it wasn't Hendrick radio communication. It was two teams. I know it was Austin Dillon, and I think Ross Chastain was on the outside. So it would be two teams that aren't Hendrick. So that's an interesting one for sure. I was hoping a good run for Martin Truex Jr. Speed and penalty cost him. Also, Busch wasn't seen on the screen a whole lot. It says in between the lanes, Kyle Busch was up and down. He had probably like a 10th to 15th place car on speed. And depending on what part of the race you were watching, he ran good until his tire fell off. Once his tire fell off, that was the end. There was no more coming back from that. But he was running top 20 ish around the time that pit stop cycle started. So him and Austin Dillon were actually coming through the field there. Martin Truex Jr. had a fast car, man. Like I don't know if it was strategy when he came into pit initially, but then he was speeding and because he was the first one to come in, so I didn't know if it was strategy or if something went wrong with the car. But then I saw him make the second lap around, and I was like, oh, either something on the car broke or he had a speeding penalty. And sure enough, he had a speeding penalty, and he just from that point on was never able to recover from that. Let's all go eat ice cream with you know who on a beach. LOL says Eric Chris. Hey, there you go. There you go. Go eat some ice cream on the beach. What in the heck was that? Says Bumblebee. That's a good question. It's a good question. The race itself, up until the very end, was actually a very entertaining race. You had comers and goers at various points in the race. It looked like certain guys were for sure going to win it. And then somebody would make an adjustment on their car and come back, and then there would be a new guy at the front. It was a great race up until the very end when all this nonsense happened. Like legitimately, all this nonsense happened, and it's fair to say that all this nonsense happened because of the way the playoffs are situated or structured. Championship 8 at Phoenix. Keep the madness going, says Joseph Wooten. Hey, there you go. Just reinstate everybody. I guess that would be the other option. If I had a fifth option, I would put. I guess we could put 8 in there. The final 4 is now 8. Let's see. I'm glad Kyle Larson is out, not because I don't like him. He's the only threat to Joey at Phoenix. However, we'll never know, says E. Damon Racing. So there you go. I don't know. I wouldn't be too confident about that. This has probably been the most chaotic season of any sport that I think I've ever watched. This has probably been the most chaotic season other than the year where the country shut down. That was chaos in a different way. But this has been the most chaotic season with penalties and just crazy stuff happening. It's been a wild one. This joke of a playoffs format strikes again, says I do too, for sure. For sure. This playoff system is not well designed. I will say that for sure. And I'm not saying not to have a playoff system. I personally would like full season points, but for the TV money and the TV contracts, you do need a playoff. Just have a playoff system that makes sense. This playoff system is too complicated and it doesn't make any sense. How many hot dogs did you have, B? I had 6 throughout the day. So however long I was there. See, I got there at 8:30. For 12 hours, about 12 hours. I think I pulled out of there about 8 something. So yeah, 12 hours, had 6 hot dogs, and that was it. And a water and 1 ice cold Beppis. Let's see. 2013 Richmond all over again. Have to penalize all 5 teams and 2 OEMs. Big, unprecedented, be inconsistent, 500K for each party and 75 to 100 owner and manufacturer points. Penalties, says Cody Ledger. To me, if they, and I want to be very clear about this, if they have the evidence, I haven't heard the evidence. This is just what I heard people talking about as I was walking out. But if they have the evidence, then for sure, I agree with you, because it would be consistent with what they did to Michael Waltrip Racing. If they have that evidence of clear race manipulation there. Aloha BB, I need to go back to the old Winston Cup point system, says Dennis Gillespie. I don't think it would hurt the sport at this point at all. I don't know. Did the 3 and the 1 look obvious, says OJ and Toothpaste? The only reason I paid attention to it, because I was looking at the front of the field, so I wasn't really looking back there, like being in the stands. But once because they've got the big screen in the middle of the track, I was like, why are they showing the 24 and all these cars backed up behind him? And then I would see, obviously, because I was looking at Austin Dillon, because I was like, man, Austin Dillon's having a great day. He might get a top 5, which is rare for RCR at a short track, because RCR has struggled for the past few seasons at short tracks. So I was like, man, Austin Dillon's on rails. Like, he might get a top 5. And then just to know how much, like, because I was looking at lap times too when the internet would work in and out, and I was like, man, he's way faster than William Byron. And then he got there and just like wouldn't pass him, and I was like, yeah. And once they were showing it on the big screen, I was like, yeah, something's up with that. But I didn't at that moment in the track put it. So it was, I guess it was obvious if you had radio communications, but at the track when I was looking at it, it wasn't super obvious. It wasn't like the 23 who hit the brakes. I knew what he was doing, like almost immediately when I saw he didn't have a flat tire. Like at first I thought he had a flat tire because he fell back like he had a flat tire. But once I saw he had all 4 tires up, I was like, okay, well, he was trying to give a position to somebody. I didn't know who he was trying to give the position to, because I didn't know Christopher Bell was that bad. That was that bad off in points. I was still assuming Christopher Bell was in just because he had such a huge lead coming in. I didn't even know he was at risk. Like, I didn't know he had fallen that many or fallen that far behind. So yeah, the whole thing was interesting. Michael Waltrip deserves his money back from Richmond 2013. This was bad on NASCAR. 23 fakes a flat. As for the 1 and 3, that's no different than Blaney helping Logano at Kansas. Yeah, so like I said, there's all kinds of different ways to look at it. I think the only difference, good point, Elise. I think the only difference would be, and this is a big if they have that radio communication that proves beyond any doubt that there was race manipulation, you would have to have that radio evidence, because that's what sort of burned up Michael Waltrip Racing. So yeah, if it's just the activity on the track, that's going to be hard. But if like when I was walking out, those people said they had heard some radio communications. I guess they were listening to their scanner or whatever and picked up on it. So I don't know. We'll have to see. What comes of that. Wow, super far behind. Let me catch up here real quick. Monty Python stated the reality of the world wonderfully, that it is everything is either both ridiculous and silly. Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate. Monty Python, good reference there. E. Damon, NASCAR now fits that Monty Python mold to a T. Indeed. Joshua Thaxton can't penalize the 24 for what the 1 and the 3 did. That's probably a fair statement, but you can penalize the 1 and the 3. Maybe in that situation. So that's it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I can't penalize the 20 for the 23's actions. That's a good point too, because they're not. I never really think about it, because I always think about 2311 as being an extension of Joe Gibbs Racing. But you're right, that's a totally different team too. So good points on that for sure. 20 gassed up on the wall. It's the only call. Sadly, I hate the playoffs. Yeah, for sure. That one is that one's sort of academic, right? That's black and white in the rule book, right? So written in stone or whatever you want to call it. I heard I heard Seabell's face afterwards said it all. I haven't seen it yet, so I'll have to check that out. I think all the team orders, race manipulation should be completely banned. Yeah, but it's going to be so hard to police. Like, it's such a can of worms. I don't disagree with you at all, but yeah, race manipulation, team orders, and stuff like that. It's going to be so hard to police it. Yes, Joe Gibbs Race, because it's not. I don't know. Team orders isn't necessarily race manipulation, I guess, but it's just so damn lame. It's just so lame to tell a driver to lay back and let another driver pass him. It's just so anti to what racing should be. I agree with you, but good luck policing it, I guess. Yes, JGR is claiming manufacturer collusion by Chevrolet teams at the end of the race to help keep Toyota out of the Final Four. I think it's too hard to prove this, possibly, says Lloyd Barnes. Yeah, they're going to need some solid evidence of that, the and I'm sure the people walking out talking about it were Toyota fans, but they seem to have heard something either on their scanners or they saw something on their phones or something. I think this goes on more than we know. They just got caught this time, says Eric. Oh, 100%. 100%. Like Chevrolet is going to call the shots. Toyota does the same. Like if one team gets caught doing it, you better believe every team has done it before at some point. Blaney's wins always be getting overshadowed, says Bumblebee. For sure. Like every time Ryan Blaney wins, it's like some drama overshadows it. Even at the All-Star race, it's like, well, he shouldn't have won that race because he was holding up the window net. Well, NASCAR shouldn't have thrown the damn yellow flag until he crossed the finish line either, but it is what it is. But it's you're right. It's always something like you never talk about a Blaney win. It's always something insane like today that happened in the race, and you never talk about the Blaney deal. Racing gets diminished by the playoffs. I feel bad for Blaney. Me too. He showed up and did what he had to do, and he won a race in the most clutch way possible. And it's just like, yeah, we're going to talk about the drama because who cares about this guy showing up and winning in a clutch moment? We've got drama to discuss. I'm stoked that Blaney is able to defend his title. Dude has been better than the 22 at Phoenix the last 2 years, says Charlotte. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like I was telling my buddy, he's a big Penske fan. One of my buddies, I was walking out, I said, in my opinion, I said, I think it's going to be a two-man show. I think it's going to be whichever Penske finishes first, because I could definitely see a 1-2 Penske finish at Phoenix just because Penske, the last few years, they've owned that track. So it would not surprise me at all. But then again, you never know who's going to show up. Once again, nobody's talking about Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick could show up again. You never know. But just for my money, I think it's just going off statistics and stuff, probably going to be another Penske championship. In sports in general, BB, you can see the greatest NFL game you've ever seen, and the conversation the next day will be, you see the refs miss that motion penalty in the third quarter. Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point for sure. There should be points for leading laps and a playoff point for the most laps, says Brian Burley. Yeah, I do think there should be some points for leading the most laps. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, and like they did back in the day, if you lead one lap, you get a certain amount of points as well. Logano or Blaney winning the title next week would be perfect way to wrap this up and make it more obvious that things need to change, says James Williamson. I mean, I think it's been obvious for a while that things need to change. I think it's been super emphasized this season, but am I optimistic or even remotely hopeful that NASCAR will do anything to change it? I'm not getting my hopes up, not holding my breath for sure. NASCAR equals drama. TNT, we know drama. Remember those commercials back in the day? I'm old. Anyway, which keeps folks talking like us, says Lloyd Barnes. Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. I'm actively engaging in it while complaining about it. So I'm 100% part of the problem. I'm not shying away from that at all. Chrome Diesel, NASCAR ignores the fact that we want auto racing is what makes up a third of their name. Mind as well as change your name to the NA playoffs, says Chrome Diesel. At least the booth roasting Carson Hocevar for turning the 38 was funny. Yeah, that was. I heard some people talking about that. Like I said, the internet worked off and on, so I saw some people talking about that in the Discord. But yeah, I guess that's the new. It feels like every year Jeff Burton gets a hate boner for certain people. I guess his new hate boner for the longest time it was Ross Chastain, but now I guess it's going to be Carson Hocevar until somebody else steps up and takes the mount from him. Brian Burley, they won't fully change the playoffs. Can we just get a third round championship? If you're the highest points earner in the round, you should also get bonus points. No one is talking about Reddick and Logano. Fair point. That's a fair point. 100%. The winning the regular season should mean more than it means in this deal. I agree with that. It's become more of a lottery than a playoff. That's a great way of describing it. Matt Robin, good description there. I made the playoffs cumulative with more races, not the one win. And the past champs could not win a race, but still be champ. Need to do something. So yeah, I've been thinking about this, and I just want to throw this out there because I've been thinking about it, and I haven't made a video about it yet. But if you want to have a system where wins matter, and you want to have a playoff, I think the 10 race chase was perfect for a playoff. And you don't have to eliminate anybody. You got 10 races, but to qualify for those 10 races, you either have to be the regular season champion, Period. Point blank. You can be the regular season champion and have no wins. Just be the regular season champion. You qualify. And then anybody who wins a race. So you either have to win a race to qualify. And, some years we'll have, 5 people. Some years we'll have 16 or 12 or whatever. But you have to win a race to qualify for the 10 race playoff, or you can win the overall regular season championship. And that would be a better way of doing it, in my opinion. I just thought about this the other day and just sort of been kicking it around in my head. That would be a better playoff system. And that's just one of many. That would be a better playoff system than this playoff system we have now. Driving around, not trying, says Brian Burley. I also think Jeff Burton doesn't like Carson. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I get a strong vibe that he does not like old Josephus there. Let's see. NASCAR is now the WWE, says Brian Zimmer. It's hard to argue against it. I don't know. I've got a lot to say on this, but at least my sister enjoyed her first cup race, and we got discounted SVG Saucy Nugs shirts. Hey, that's what's up, man. That's really cool. I didn't even go by the merch haulers. Like I just, I don't know. I was super focused today, and I just stayed doing my thing. Let's see. Is there not a rule that states you have to give 100% effort to advance? Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. There is a minimum speed rule, but I don't think there is a minimum effort or maximum effort rule. Burton doesn't like Hocevar because of Harrison will never have a fraction of the natural talent, says Charlotte. Charlotte with the heater there. Wow, that was a big one there. Super burn, good burn there by Charlotte. She is obviously a huge Jeff Burton fan. BB LFG, what's up, Russell Dominguez? What's up, my friend? Glad to see you on here as always. If Logano or Blaney win another fake championship, I'm out until they change the playoff format. That's interesting because I think a lot of people, when Jimmy Johnson won a bunch of his titles in a row, I think a lot of people pieced out on that too because they were just like, nothing against Jimmy Johnson. We're just tired of seeing the same dude win. So it could be a similar situation to that. Hey, BB, I'm so pissed about the 20 getting bounced that I took my summer sausage and Gronk spiked it off my TV. It came back and hit me in the temple and KO'd me. I woke up to my dog peeing on me. That's a maximum humble brag if your summer sausage reaches that far, my friend. But I like it. Once again, getting creative with the writing, a true gift. Always good to see John P on here. Basically, the way I feel after that crap show, I'm just so over NASCAR. I've been doing this for 30 years, and just for the first time, I just don't feel excited about Daytona next winter. I think I feel that vibe from a lot of people for sure. 100%. Bad Brad led some laps today. Yeah, he at one point looked like he was going to be pretty tough to get past. I made homemade Martinsville hot dogs at home today for me. I used 2 bologna in honor of you, and my jaw is sore from opening my mouth so wide to get my chapped lips around them. I have bad gas. Oh, man. Yeah, so a lot of people, what's up, John P? Once again, a lot of people, the bathroom was super busy. So the Martinsville hot dogs were doing some work on the fans there today. I was sitting about as high as you can sit. But I had to my left, I had a direct view of the men's bathroom and saw several people walking out adjusting their pants. You knew they had just blown that mug up. Let's see. Cindric, 4th place finish. There's your in-depth race analysis from being at the track. ADD is real, and it makes me look at wild stuff. Cindric, 4th place finish, says in between the lanes. Yeah, Cindric, great run for him. How many bags of 6 hot dogs do you think they sold today? Innumerable. Safe to say after this weekend, we'll see payback on drivers in all 3 series. Phoenix, Gray Eckes. Yeah, so I haven't even touched on that stuff yet. Definitely need to make a video on that. Chandler, the Bulldog Smith there with that vicious hybrid slap punch to Cole Custer's chest. Busher Reddick, Bill Byron, Bill Larson, or the field versus Hocevar. Correction. Brad Keselowski led 170 laps today. It was a race high. I feel bad for Bill, says in between the lanes. It's a tough way to go out for sure. Tough way. I don't think he meant to ride the wall on purpose. Yeah, it's going to be hard to say. It does look like he had. I did see a few people making the argument, and I didn't have replay, but they said you could see he was turning left. So he was trying to get off the wall, but he was also gassing up at the same time, and just centrifugal force is going to take you. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that whole deal. All 3 series had controversy this weekend, says like dislike. And just to, I touched on the Cole Custer deal. I thought the Cole, like, I don't know, getting mad at Cole Custer. I thought that was, I didn't see anything egregious there from Cole Custer on the Chandler Smith deal. Same thing with Christian Eckes on whichever gray, Tanner or Taylor Gray. I get them mixed up. Whichever gray that was, I didn't see it wasn't like the most egregious move I've ever seen. And Taylor Gray drives like that. Tanner Gray, whichever one it was, they drive like that all the time. He drives rough too, so I don't know, or aggressively, whatever you want to call it. So I don't know. Typical driver, do as I say, not as I do. Double standard or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, nah, I don't know. I didn't see the beef. I didn't see why he was so upset with Eckes there, because that's how they've raced each other in the past. So just because you decided to race him clean today, you know, it is what it is. I didn't see it. But I don't know. I'll cover it in more depth, I guess, at a later point. All three series had controversy this weekend. Maybe the next week, all the final four drivers DNF, and they will change the playoffs. The way this season has gone, that's not necessarily out of the question. So we'll see. Interesting. I hadn't even thought about that. There you go. That's another variable that probably nobody has thought about. Good call there, OJ. Timber Race, just caught the radio coverage by John Trent. Send like NASCAR should DQ the 24, the 1, the 3. Okay, so apparently there is some radio out there. Thank you there, Timber Race. So the 24, the 1, and the 3, I guess, are involved. The 5 was next in line ahead of Denny. So send Larson to Phoenix to travel for the champion. Okay, so it might not be over with yet. We might have another situation like Joey Logano was announced in at the last minute, right? So there was that, some of that went on. So we might have another one. Maybe if they have clear audio of manipulation, we'll have to see. Even in all, what a pile show NASCAR is. It was, and it's unfortunate because the race itself was so good until everybody at the very end of it just went nuts trying to get people into the playoffs. Chevy team and Team Toyota both pulled the same nonsense there at the end, says Colorado Car Dude. Yeah, you can definitely say that they're both guilty of it, right? So for one side to say the other side is bad, they both did it, right? And that's what I'm trying to say. And I'm sure if Ford was in the situation, Ford would have done whatever they needed to do to get their car in there as well. Fortunately, they didn't have to, because what we should be talking about is Ryan Blaney showed up and just absolutely clutch won this race and did what he had to do. Who would have thought Bubbles would lay down, says Mark Barnum. So, yeah, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility for any driver, in my opinion, to lay down. So, I don't know. It's the team orders are a real thing. The 3-car radio chatter asked if the 1 knew the deal. Okay, so that's what they're talking about. So, and knowing the deal, I guess they're assuming know the deal not to pass the 24. Sport for the 1 told him the 24 was 1 point ahead and in. So there you go. If that's the audio, then that's pretty damning. And once again, it's the 3-car radio. Hard to penalize. They need radio communication courses for RCR in the off season, or just go to the private channel that NASCAR doesn't have. Hard to penalize anybody when you literally see cars running side by side for the laps on in constantly. So hard to determine when it's on purpose. It really is, and that's why I say you have to go to the radio chatter. But if that's the radio chatter, that seems pretty damning right there. That's not good. That is not good at all. Why don't they cut the chase to 12 drivers, and the driver who gets the most points in the final 10 races wins? Says Tim Shoemaker. I think a 10 race playoff or a 12 race playoff would be good. Whichever way, or 12 drivers and 10 races would be good. What's it like going to Martinsville in person? It's one of my favorite tracks. I don't know if you like short tracks. It's not for everybody. This race tonight was like, it's hard. It would be hard for anybody to have a bad time at this race. But there are some Martinsville races that, and any racetrack can be like this from time to time, that are not as exciting as this one. But I thought it was a good one. I think it's a great track. They do their deal pretty good. And there's also, if you want to go to one of the oldest tracks, I don't know if it's the oldest track anymore. I think it's still the oldest track, but it's you want to go to one of the oldest tracks. It's got that historical side to it as well. There's some great pictures up on the walls showing the history of it and everything. Really cool. I posted it on like a Facebook or a YouTube post I don't even fool with Facebook anymore. But I posted a YouTube post. It's got a really good picture. There's like Richard Petty in the middle, and then there's all these legends around him. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Just everything walking around there is just cool to look at. Let's just get rid of the playoffs altogether and race straight heads up like it used to be in all three series. I would love that. I would love that. As it turns out, you'll have two drivers racing for a championship that are there because of someone getting DQ'd, the 48 and the 20 wall riding that wasn't because he gained 0 positions. Take a bow, NASCAR, says Mike Price up. So yeah, that's that's a very good point, and I like your final sentence there. Take a bow, NASCAR. That's kind of how I've real like honestly deep down. That's how I feel about it inside as well. Like take a bow, NASCAR. Congratulations. You wanted controversy, you got it, and now everybody has a bad taste in their mouth about the whole championship system. Not whoever wins the championship is going to be the champion. I'm not taking that away. I'm just saying the system itself stinks. They will keep elimination rounds, but how about eliminating, no pun intended, the one race chip and making that a round? Says Brian Burley. I mean, yeah, you could just do it round by round. Like the first, there's 10 races, and every race, one driver gets eliminated until you get to the very end. Like that's another way of doing it for sure. NASCAR stepped on another rake. Indeed, they might have stepped on two rakes at the same time this time. Let's just be about racing like F1. Just look at how chaotic F1 race at Brazil was today, says Chrome Diesel. Yeah, I'll be down with that. I feel like we don't need gimmicks. Like the sport is just so much more interesting when the drama is real. In Jeff Burton's defense, when you see a driver spin his third car, I kind of expect somebody to say something, says Dirty Death. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I would have to hear what he says, but he definitely has certain drivers that he cuts more slack than others. But it is what it is. I'm not picking on Jeff Burton. Every commentator or announcer has their favorites and not favorites. I knew that comment was John P. just by listening, says Galactopus. Martinsville E. coli dogs, LOL, says Mark Barnum. When JJ won 7 with 80 plus wins, it's easier to accept. When a guy gets in with a full mileage win, it's harder to swallow, says Joshua Thaxton. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying overall, people got tired of seeing it. So if you see Penske win like 5 in a row, you'll see a lot of people stop watching. Same thing happened in F1 when Lewis Hamilton was winning, and before him when Michael Schumacher was winning. When you have somebody that dominates, eventually people get tired of it. It's very rare that somebody dominates. The only time I can remember somebody dominating and it being good for the sport was like the Chicago Bulls. That made a lot more people watch the NBA than before the Chicago Bulls were dominating. And that was just sort of a Michael Jordan thing. But even with that, you got like a 2-year break from it. And then there was 3 more, and that was it. So it was relative to 6 championships. It was a short run. If I was a sponsor, I would be mad. The car I spent all that money on, I didn't try to get a top 5. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good way of looking at it. Agloctopus, wow, I'm humbled. Thank you. I just wish I could ship one of these leftover bologna tube hot dogs, but they are like 11 pounds each, and I don't think the chili will be good after Wednesday. Is the chili ever good to begin with? So good going down. So bad when it hits your actual stomach. Let's see. The 3 and the 1 were literally escorting. Number 24 was pathetic. Didn't expect the number 1, especially, says MGM. Yeah, Ross is. You really. I'm with you on that one. I thought Ross was sort of kind of like a wild horse. Nobody puts baby in a corner or whatever reference you want to go with there. But apparently he was tamed today and told what to do. My little boys punch harder than Chandler Smith. Use daddy's money to take some lessons, says Elise Winters. And the funniest part about that, because earlier in the week he was talking about, I'm gonna go back and work for my dad's construction company if I don't get a sponsor for next year. I was like, well, now you can't go back and work for your dad's construction company because anybody that's on the job site with you that saw you throw that punch, you will get roasted at a job site for the rest of your natural born life with that soft hybrid slap punch, whatever you threw. And the best part about it was when you made contact, immediately Cole Custer started laughing at you. Like that was like, there's no coming back from that. There's no coming back from that. You need to move to the country, learn to cure cancer, join a monastery, become a monk, and that is the only way you will restore honor to your family's name. I'm joking. Chandler Smith is awesome, but that punch was terrible. That was not a good punch, my man. Seabell only passed the number 23 before hitting the wall, and he did visibly lose control. Says MG. Taylor Gray looks like a dumber version of Morgan Wallen with a highlighter on mustache. So there you go, Morgan Wallen making an appearance on the channel. I still couldn't tell you a single song he sings other than the Jason Aldean song that he covered and did probably the worst job covering a song of "Cover Me Up." I think. Yeah, just listen to the Jason Aldean version. Much better. Anyway, Bill should go to IndyCar and leave this dumpster fire behind. BB, keep the pit crew out of the driver altercation between Chandler Smith and Stone Cold Cole Custer. Let the drivers handle the business. Yeah, I don't think Cole Custer needed any help there. And the funniest thing was once he like pushed him, he like looked around. He was trying to get somebody to step in. So he threw the punch and then wanted somebody to step in. It was such a Ric Flair horseman move. It was very much heel like. B laughing at Ellie there. It's Timber Ace or Timber Ace. I always read it as the latter. Timby Ace. Timby Race. I'm going with Timber Ace. Let's see. Maybe at least we don't have to deal with this stuff on track. Indeed. We're the test crew. The test crew doesn't have to worry about anybody being on track because we'll wait for them to get off before we go out and make our 10-lap runs. They told Ross and Byron was one spot in. Never replied and was on top where it can be hard to pass regardless, so hard to prove. Yeah, that's probably a good point about him running the top, but it's going to be hard because I'm thinking the audio that Timber Ace put was from the 3 radio, so the 3 definitely knew, and at various points, the 3 definitely had the inside lane, so it's not looking good for at least the 3. The 3, Austin Dillon might be getting another penalty because of a spotter talking there. John P., all jokes aside, this was the best Martinsville race since the next gen. Great tire, passing strategy. I enjoyed it. I feel like a net positive for the short track package moving forward, all in all. Yeah, I do think the tires came into play. So I like the tire fall off, and you had some comers and goers. And like I said, various points of the race, the cars did adapt to changes. Other cars looked like they were dominant. So you had a lot going on. I thought the tire did play pretty good here today. Good point there, John P. After hearing that, I need to change my answer to the poll question, says Wicked Mana. Yeah, so that's a good point. We didn't have that information beforehand. BB, did you hire Motor City Dan Campbell to be our motivational speaker? I did, but he can only speak to us like this. So he doesn't want you to hear what he's saying. I don't know if you could even hear me with that in front of the microphone. That was a stupid move. Anyway, BB, let's see. I have an idea. What if we just stopped resetting the freaking points and had an actual, real, legitimate champion? Hey, I'm with you there, Bo Darville. 100% Bandit. I believe Braycard was at Martinsville as well. He was at Martinsville, and he was, from his picture, he was only maybe 1 section over from me, and he's really tall. So I stood up at one point, and I couldn't see him. I did, as I was pulling in, I saw Ellie Productions. Ellie Productions was there too. And I was like, dang, I recognize that dude from somewhere. I know him from somewhere. He was wearing a Martin Trix Jr. Furniture Row jacket, and I got distracted by the jacket. I was like, man, that's a cool jacket. And that's when it hit me. But as it hit me who it was, I was driving by him. So I did see, sorry, I didn't wave at you, Ellie Productions. You didn't see me either, but I did see you. And by the time I recognized who you were, but he was there too. And hold on. I met somebody else there too. Oh, man. Oh, well, I had it. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I met a few people there, but it was really cool. I'll put it in the regular episode. But yeah, there was a bunch of people out there for sure. Bumblebee, who won on Earth 2 today? I think it was Josh Balicki, but I'm not 100% sure. Let's go to results. And looks like Josh Balicki. Josh Balicki just barely, with his brakes failing, beats Harrison Burton. Corey LaJoy with a strong effort in 3rd place on Earth 2. Earth 2, of course, being the exact opposite of Earth 1. JJ won in the 10-man chase. Latford, 3 different generations of cars, 12-man Latford point position chase format. And to get the final winner take all format, they finally got him with stage racing, says Cody Ledger. Yeah, they finally had to uncrown him and Chad Knaus because it was a total team effort there, I believe. Blaney's win was clutch. He drove through the top 10 lap traffic in the last 80 laps and drove away. It was for sure, and I wish that was the story, but unfortunately, it is not. Well, you knew somehow Hendrick would have a team in the Final Four, says Corliss. That was a lot of talk. I heard that a lot as I was walking out, for sure. Kenny Wallace is wanting to change the rules to get Larson in the championship race because he has the most wins. I don't like the playoffs either, but he just didn't show up this round. He showed up today. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. He's had a very chaotic playoff. Like he's wrecked a lot. It's just not. I'm not gonna say he didn't show up. He's either been really good like he was today, or he's been really not good, or he wrecked himself, like which is also not good. But let's not good. Morgan Wallen worked with Post Malone, and I had some help. Says in between the lanes, Chandler Smith will have the nickname Soft Hands for the first day on the job site for the rest of his career. For the rest of his career on the job site, no doubt about it. Although he works for his dad, so I don't know. He'll probably be he'll probably be like pitching. I doubt very much he actually gets in the field. He's probably going to be pitching jobs or be a project manager or something like that. Ross was in a bad spot. He would get in trouble with Chevrolet again, and he's always friends with Byron, so he was screwed either way. Says Dirty Def. That Chandler Smith punch. I told my wife's boyfriend who was cuddling with her on the couch that I've seen faster hands on a digital clock throwing a punch. That's a good one. That's a good one, John P. There's a lot of layers to that one, and written just a few words, but there's a lot of layers to it. Kit Kat would beat up Chandler Smith in a fight. Left and right Twix also. Probably I would take them. Get ready for some tire tests with all three series. Indeed, I was wearing my Martin Truex shirt from Dover today. A lot of Truex gear was out there today, and I really thought he had a good chance of winning until the pit road incident. Don't think the lawsuit is going the way 2311 and Front Row expected so far. It's early. They lost sort of a. I'm not going to say it was big, but they lost something that they wanted to go their way. I don't think it's really going to affect the outcome of the actual trial, but it will affect a little bit of the financial deal going forward. Harrison Burton started sixth. He had a pretty good run going. I think he got caught up in something. Paige Van Zandt would destroy Chandler Smith in power slaps, says Waltrip Flair. Paige Van Zandt, I forgot all about her, man. What a career trajectory she's been on. Thoughts on Tyler Reddick's awful day and whether it'll hurt his performance going to Phoenix. He never was above 20th all day. It was interesting, and it was hard to keep up with what was going on with Tyler Reddick. I think his brakes eventually failed, but because he looked exactly like Ty Gibbs' car, so it was sort of hard to modulate what Tyler Reddick's day was looking like. Because at times I was like, "Oh man, he's fast." I was like, "Oh, that's Ty Gibbs." I was like, "Oh, Ty Gibbs. What happened to Ty Gibbs? Oh, that's Tyler Reddick." So it's a mess. I feel bad for their spotters on the double monster days. Wow, November 3rd here in Iowa had a thunderstorm. Crazy. We're not having a snowstorm. Guess it's election year, says Mark Barnum. NBC aired that Dillon audio post race while they were awaiting NASCAR's decision as well. It'll be interesting to see how NASCAR reacts this week. So there you go. It has been seen on NBC. So we could be seeing something, at least for the 3-car, possibly. Are the comments disappearing? Some of them are definitely disappearing for sure, Charlotte. Hometown track. If you put certain words in, they're disappearing, and some are disappearing because they're living under a bridge. Hometown track for Martin Truex Jr. Martinsville, says in between the lanes. Indeed, and I got that joke out on another channel, and I'll fill you in on it in a little bit as soon as I find that card. I had a card. I don't know what I did with it, but anyway, let's see. Charlotte Ander, I took down. We were discussing something. BB doesn't need the mention, or it could get him demonetized. Appreciate you there, B. Thanks for doing this, BB. I was looking for it after the race. You were the man. No problem, John P. And always good to see you on here, my friend. Mark Barnum, Trolls. Charlotte, how about SVG with a 12th, says Dirty Death. Yeah, so that was probably the most one of the most things I wasn't expecting or whatever. The most, I'm not going to say shocking because it's not really the word shocking. Most unexpected, one of the most unexpected things of this particular race, I thought SVG would have a pretty good run, but I didn't think he would be that close to the top 10. So really, really great run because this is a very technical track. And for him, just, moving up the cup and just sort of learning this particular type of racing, that's very impressive. To get a good finish at Martinsville shows that you're a good driver. I've always believed that. And he did a great job today. Question, since you were at the race, just exactly which car was fastest, Truex, Blaney, or Elliott? Says Lloyd Bourne. It depends on what point in the race. So initial fire off speed, Chase Elliott was faster. Beginning of the race, nobody could touch Martin Truex on the takeoff. Chase Elliott had a little bit better of a long run car than Truex, but on the initial takeoff, Truex had the fastest car. Once Truex had problems, Chase Elliott had the fastest takeoff, but long run car, Ryan Blaney, Penske, period. Austin Cindric as well. I think Joey Logano was R&D and stuff. But Austin Cindric and Ryan Blaney, they had the best long run cars on the day. So long run, Team Penske. Short run, Chase Elliott. Fastest overall was probably Truex, but he unfortunately had that speeding penalty and never really came back from it. Larson not running the Coke 600 may have just cost him a shot at the Final Four. That's a fair point. I need to look at the points margin spread on it. But if it's less than five, I think he would have got 5 or 10 points, however much it is for winning the championship. If it's within that, yep, for sure. But he got to run the Indy 500. So, I mean, it's hard to say don't run the Indy 500 either. So, it's just a tough situation. Unfortunately, the weather screwed him there. He did try to run both. Austin Cindric too, finishing 4th was cool too. Yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting that, but it just shows how good of a setup. Long run that the Penske guys came up with. So shout out to the Penske gang, and then shout out Austin. Let's give Austin Cindric a shout out too, because he's had a great second half of the season without question. He almost came in here and spoiled the playoffs. Let's not forget that either. You think the lawsuit drama distracted any? 100%. There's no way it can't possibly not distract him at least a little bit. Cost him a chance for the championship. I don't know that it cost him a chance for the championship, but it's definitely a distraction. I grew up with Truex as Corliss. I was talking to a guy in the stands, and I told him, I was like, it's going to be so weird without Truex because I feel like he's been racing just forever. I feel like I've watched every race that he's ever made. Any paint schemes you like? Says in between lanes. I did like Justin Haley's number 7. Had the green flames on it. It was a really good looking car. It's the only one other than the Rude Bush for the 38. It's the only one that really stood out to me. Is like, man, that was a really cool scheme. And that Rude Bush we've seen a bunch of times, but every time I see it live, I'm like, man, the blue and the red really pops on that Rude Bush. But yeah, the Justin Haley 7 car with the green flames, neon green flames, probably my favorite one. I think SVG does good at this track because of the braking, like the road courses. That's a good point. Like this, like I think Marcus Ambrose was good at this track too, and I think no, I'm not thinking about the right dude. Marcus Ambrose for sure, but I was going to say AJ Allmendinger, but I'm not sure his numbers are great at Martinsville. I'll have to go back and double check that one. Yeah, making Indianapolis the priority was a real head scratcher, says Charlotte. BB, how did your fantasy football team do today? We performed well. Unfortunately, the guy I'm playing against had Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow just went off. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I do have a couple Monday night players, but I don't know if we're going to be able to counteract Joe Burrow going bananas. And Marvin Harrison Jr., he didn't have a great day. But other than that, all the rest of my guys played pretty good. But I think I'm still going to lose, unfortunately. I had a great day, but it's just not as good as the other guy. NASCAR opening the books would have been the most undesirable factor for them and may have forced to a settlement. Since they won that, NASCAR will go all the way and probably win this case. They don't have to open the books just yet. They might have to open it for the trial, but they don't have to open it for the hearing to have a trial. So that part's not over with. It's just they're just not opening them for this particular hearing as to whether or not we need to have a trial. So stay tuned. That's what I'm saying. These are small things. We'll see. We'll see. I think November 4th. It's the day before we vote. So I think we vote November 5th. Yeah. So it's the day before. So tomorrow, I guess they're having the case. So it'll be even more drama tomorrow. Larson missed by 7, I think. Says like dislike. Hey. So there you go. That would if he had won the regular season, he'd be in right now. Daniel Block, so much tomfoolery. Yes, indeed. I mean, worst finish I've seen in quite a while. A couple of Talladega races in 2020 bad, but it's like Spingate all. I'm with you. It's got Spingate written all over it. Just a different form of it. I mean, I'm really disgusted. It's bad. I agree with you. It's bad. It's such a bad look right now. Vikings are spanking the Colts. I would expect nothing less. Hopefully, who do I got from the Vikings? Sam Darnold. Hopefully, Sam Darnold is going crazy. Auto owners insurance scheme looked good for Martin Truex Jr. Unfortunately, the diecast was canceled. That's always a bummer when the diecast gets canceled. Cindric deserves to be in the talks of surprise of the year. I agree with you. Maybe I got caught speeding by the highway patrol yesterday, rushing home to catch the Monster Girls and Ty Gibbs on pit road. I said I got my rubber stuck in my throttle body, and he still wrote me a ticket anyway, says John P. So, yeah, uh, Denny Hamlin got away with that, but apparently the federal authority, or not federal, what is it? I guess the state authorities saw it a different way for you, my friend. Unfortunate, bad beat for sure. SVG said himself he's better on tracks where we shift. Okay, so maybe the shifting. Good point there, B. It's his style from V8 supercars. Mark Barnum, I'm watching the game along with the BB live stream. There were a lot of it was sold out. It's probably the most people I've seen there. I don't know how it looked on TV and depending on what time TV, but that Joker was legitimately sold out today. Like you couldn't move. The only reason there would be any empty seats is, like I said, the line to the men's bathroom was going crazy. Let's see. I understand that the Indy 500 is greater than the Coca-Cola 600, but one is your job, the other was extracurricular. Yeah, it was. I'm with you. It was an interesting choice, but it's Kyle Larson. He wants to. He thought he had a. It's not as cut and dry because he thought he had a chance to win the Indy 500. So that's part of it too. It'd be different if he was if he was sucking it up in the IndyCar deal. That being said, though, Charlotte, I do agree with you. You gotta prioritize the Cup race there. Unfortunately, he did not do that for his playoff run, and it's cost him. It is cost him here today. I wish I could have sat next to you at the racetrack today and shared a lollipop back and forth with you. Baloney says them boys 45. Appreciate you there, them boys. 2110 BB says Mark Brown. All right, we need to put up some more points. We need Darnold to throw at least a 50-yard pass to somebody for a touchdown. Mobile One scheme for Seabell looked good. Unfortunately, the diecast was canceled. Oh, it was a good looking car today too. I'm just so used to all the Mobile One schemes being. It's a really dumb thing to say, but the Mobile One schemes are so good that I don't even think about them because I just know they're going to be fire. Vikings winning. Iceberg's happy indeed, like he probably will be. Denny Hamlin used the same car he qualified with and repaired the damage instead of going to a backup car. Yeah, I think he had something on that car he liked much better than the backup car, or something on that car they didn't want to take off and show either NASCAR or the other teams what they had going on. I hate that next week is the final NASCAR weekend of the year, says In Between the Lanes. It is. The season has gone by. It seemed extremely long and tiring, but it also seems like it's gone by fast here, at least the last few weeks. What city do you live in, says James Barker. I live in between. I live right at the county line, or the state line of Virginia and North Carolina. NASCAR wanted Larson at the Indy 500. I even helped promote it. The weather was the only issue, says Lloyd Barnes. I'm so disappointed with my Colts. Richardson drama sucks too. Indeed, I won't be surprised if, talking about the quarterback there, OJ and Toothpaste is. I wouldn't be surprised if viewership and attendance go down after this controversy. Just look at how the 2014 season suffered after Spingate. Yep. BB Sam Darnold, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I don't care about the interceptions. I just need the touchdowns. We're not penalized super significantly in my league for interceptions. I think it's only 1 or 2 points, whereas touchdowns are 7 or 8. BB Jets won on Halloween. Hey, there you go. The Jets with the all black uniforms too. Good looking uniforms there. I'm disgusted with my Cowboys this year. We're headed to a they a complete rebuild. They have not been great. I will give you that. I was surprised at how bad they've been this year as well. Maybe not sure if you know this, but how do teams prepare a backup car setup wise? Should I say? I don't think they really. I don't think they really set it up. I think they just have it sort of like they sort of have like a baseline setup on it, would be my guess, and it would vary from team to team. But obviously, all the work that they have to do to uh, to the backup cars, it's obviously not set up on the setup block by the setup guy the same way that the regular cars are. So I think it's just got sort of like a basic, just like a basic setup there. Let's see. Iowa won and Nebraska lost. Was a good Saturday, says Mark Barnum. So there you go, Mark Barnum. Not a big Nebraska fan, apparently. I'm upset this nonsense puts a bad taste in my mouth as I went back to trucking and taking a few weeks off from it, says Chrome Diesel. Yeah, I think a lot of people are not going to be happy with this race. I think that's an understatement. I'm tired of NASCAR. The drama can wait. I can't wait to watch Alabama versus LSU Saturday night. I could care less about Phoenix, says Bruce Garvey. So there you go. A lot of people after this one have a bad taste in your mouth. Final poll question though. Looks like we've reached the end of the chat here. Last Final Four spot should go to Bill, William Byron, neither, but DQ both, and put the next man in line. 44%, 17% for DQ both, and have just 3 drivers. 21% for William Byron, and 18% for C. Bill with 131 votes. Appreciate everyone for hanging out. Have a good Monday. Try to get some sleep. If you're on the West Coast, you got plenty of time. If you're on the East Coast, sorry it was late, but it took me a while to get out of that parking lot. And until the next one, peace.